Alright, in this video I'm going to answer a question. I've been getting this specific question for a couple years now. I've finally decided to create a video. I have the time. So how do I make a remote start work in a car? Manual transmission, it's not working. It's driving me nuts. How do I go about doing it? What's the problem? I got a car sitting out my driveway. I cannot seem to make this thing crank no matter what I do, right? If this is you, then you got the right video. So what I'm going to do, man, is I'm just going to real quick, I'm going to jump off screen. I'm going to show you an illustration. It's going to be a schematic, so try your best to follow along. I'm going to be very sensitive to people understanding the clarity of what it is that I'm trying to explain. I'll talk very slowly as I possibly can. And it's really not as complicated as you're going to think it might be once I explain it to you in simple human terms of how it works, why it works, and how you need to wire it in order to make your remote start work on your manual stick transmission car. So enough said, here we go. Okay, so here is a diagram. It's a simple diagram that I pulled off offline. Okay, now this switch set up here is for an Audi. Now most cars vary in some respect from one to another. However, they all do share one certain common denominator, and that's all I'm going to focus on because I don't want to make this complicated in any way to any person. I want this to be simple, helpful, and make people's problems go away. Now, let's just say this here is your ignition switch. This wire here is your starter output wire, okay? Clutch switch, we're going to get into that for a quick second, but not just yet. Over here, this here would be the car's computer, an external relay before it goes to the starter solenoid, and that would actually engage the starter solenoid to click, turn over the motor, and get the thing started up. Okay, now this relay is always going to be in the car. However, you may not always need to see it, and in my tutorials, because I try to make them as easy as possible for people, will have no need to understand this or worry about it at all. In older cars, most of the time this relay is built onto the starter or very close nearby it. Computers, this is really for a lot of sophisticated cars. Most of the time, it's not even worth talking about, because when we're talking about a starter wire, we're talking about a high amperage wire. Okay, basically all it is we're trying to take a remote starter to click that starter wire, engage the starter to turn a motor, and that's all we care about. All right, so key switch we've already talked about. The wires coming out, this is the part where everybody needs to focus their attention on, because this is where the problem starts and ends with almost every single person I've ever heard of. Okay, now the way it works is on the floor where your clutch is located, on where your pedals are, all the way to the far left. If you were to get underneath on your car, on your knees, look at that switch and look underneath it, you're going to find that there is a little momentary switch of some sort. Now on the back of it, to my best experience, there's always two wires coming off of that switch. Not on every car, because I cannot be specific and cover every single vehicle ever known to mankind, obviously, but I can tell you this. Get yourself a test light or a multimeter or whatever. Now those two wires on your clutch switch will do different things. Now some of them rest, one at ground and one gets 12 volts when it's depressed, and in other cars it works the exact way opposite. Now again, my tutorial, very simple, straightforward. Just get the car cranking. We're not even going to go into the details and mechanics of the clutch switch and the two wires. I am planning to make a subsequent video that covers this, so that way if you wanted to integrate with a remote start utilizing the clutch, I'll show you how and why you can do it. But for the pure, simple purpose of making this video to show people how they can get their manual remote starter functioning, this is how it works. Off the key, you're going to go to your clutch switch. Just keep moving. There's no starter wire here. If you go to your normal location at your ignition harness, where all your wires are for your ignition, accessory, start, power, and all that stuff, if you were to run your starter output wire from there and go right to your main ignition harness, that starter wire, even if you put 12 volts to it directly, it's never going to crank the starter. Why is this? The reason being is that you are not bypassing the clutch. Now there's two ways of doing it. The hard way, which I will describe in my other video, with the two wires on the clutch switch. But in most cases, especially for a simple remote start operation, easy way to do it is bypass all of this here crap. Just grab your starter wire outside inside past the firewall in the engine compartment. You are guaranteed to bypass all this crap. The relay, body control module, clutch switch, everything. Just one thing, one word of caution. When you run your starter wire from your remote starter, there is no fuse on it because it's self-used by the factory relay because it's usually protected in that method. But when you're doing a manual remote start system, it's imperative that you protect that wire. I definitely suggest that you put a 30 amp fuse right here at the module before you run it through the firewall, and after you come out of the firewall, just for the hell of it, put another fuse block in there as well. Just because you're going through the firewall, it is made of metal. You know, God help you if something were to go wrong. Don't take a chance. Do it right. Do it double right. Put 2 fuses, one outside the engine compartment, one on the inside. Grab your starter wire. Have a buddy crank your car. Find what's getting, you know, bumped with 12 volts when they hit the key. Where the starter motor harness is located in the engine compartment. Make your connection there. Problem solved. That's all there is to it. There is no big mystery. There's no song and dance, no magic tricks to doing this job. That's all you need to do. And like I said, if you're really interested in the topic and you do this regularly, or you just want to really understand the full mechanics of how this whole thing works, I'm going to have another video very shortly, most likely later today or tomorrow, and I'm going to go over the clutch switch. So if you wanted to do a safety integration with your remote starter system in conjunction with doing the actual powering of the wire to the starter, I can show you both in one shot. So that way you'll be very well educated on the why and the how. So if you had that problem with your manual transmission, you couldn't get that car cranking, I'm sure that this fixed your problem. I guarantee it fixed your problem. So that's it. Until the next time, we'll see you.